think museums are in quite such a traditional place, but many of the boards I work with have got very, very traditional trustees and a very, very traditional view as to what they should be doing. So that's a completely refreshing perspective from her. And clearly it's working for the CBSO, so good luck to her.
Yeah, was it Ken Robinson who said, if you're not prepared to be wrong, you'll never create anything original, I think. And Emma was certainly from that school, wasn't he? Belinda, from you, different perspectives from speakers or sessions?
Yeah, from Joseph and the first keynote. So it was really interesting to see an activist or an activist-born organisation that worked with very closely with activist organisations. Also embracing corporate sponsors and how to do that successfully, which is I think really shifted my thinking about how you can work with the right corporate partners to actually make things happen alongside activist communities. So for me, that's a big shift in thinking. Yeah.
And Liz?
For me, I would say, I mean, the last session that I went to today was the Counting Your Carbon one with Liz. And I thought I knew all of, I thought, yeah, you know, you've just got to look at your energy bills and you've got to maybe think about the car travel. And then, you know, you're on your way there to counting your carbon. And I think the session was really, really useful for putting across in a really simple way, actually, that counting your carbon and thinking about your museum's impact on the environment was actually a lot more. You have to consider a lot more things, I think, was one of the main things. And so within kind of to fit with the project that we're doing right now, I think I'm wanting to think more broadly about that, at least personally, and look more into how our museum is thinking about how our practice impacts the environment in more of a range of areas. I want to look more about our waste, all those sorts of things, beyond just, you know, reusing glass and using renewable electricity, which are all brilliant steps, I think, on the way there. But I think that thinking about those smaller things as well that you do as part of, you know, as also as part of a museum, how that expands out into, you know, working at home, all those sorts of things, how all of those areas contribute to your carbon footprint, and thinking more about reducing that and that kind of cumulative approach to it, rather than just, we need all this, like, you know, we need to do this massive thing to change our carbon, which, yes, of course, big changes need to happen, but also thinking, you know, how many it's things like fridges. I never even thought about it, like how many fridges do we have and are they always running and things like that. So yeah, the nuance behind that is something that I found really interesting to expand on, something I thought I knew more about. Yeah.
Thank you very much. The answer to this final question for the panel could go either way in all ways, I think, but and I'll start with Hilary, really. The question is about, what did this year's conference tell you about AIM members and the community, I suppose, of AIM members?
It's shown me that AIM is in rude health, I think. I've worked out that I think the first AIM conference I came to was 1989, when I was a local government museum director in Exeter. And my staff were going, but we're a local authority museum. Why should we go to an independent museum conference? And then I convinced them that AIM was about income generation and giving your visitors great value for money. And they saw that they might learn something. But AIM was a very quirky, eccentric, slightly odd organization in those days. And it has gradually become more and more professional under more and more professional leadership. And there was a debate last night amongst a few of us as to whether it's getting too professional. We don't want to become the Museums Association. So from that point of view, I think it is what we, the membership, make of it and want it to be. So you must make your voice heard. What you liked about the conference, tell them. What you didn't like, if anything, tell them that as well. Because we need to make sure that it stays on course and can help us in the coming turbulent years.
Thank you very much. It's a good point that just to remind you all that later this evening, you will get an email actually with a survey attached, a post-conference survey, and it would be really good to get as many responses from that as possible. And my advice on that is to kind of do it by return. You know, once you get it, just do it. And okay, so I remember a former chair, I think, used to describe AIM as bonkers. Wasn't that right, Hilary? I think maybe we're not
Yes.
bonkers
Yes.
enough.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah.
So we need
yeah.
to return to more bonkers. Rod, what's this conference told you about AIM members and the community of AIM members?
Well, I certainly wish I'd have been attending back in the late 1980s when it was bonkers. But yeah, I guess for me, a lot of new perspectives because I've only ever attended AIM before as a exhibitor. So you spend your time stood behind your exhibiting desk waiting for the crumbs of conversation when people are going to take a break from their tea and coffee. So my sympathies go out to the exhibitors. I've been there and stood there a long time, but it's been really refreshing to take part in discussion and debate around issues that matter to you. And I think that has really helped me to understand how I can better position what I do, having spent a couple of days in that situation, really. But I think the thing that I learned that I didn't really know was probably, and it maybe is a new thing that's growing, is your desire to collaborate with other communities, to join together to magnify or echo the message, whether that be political lobbying or other things that you wish to do. And I wonder if there's an opportunity for AIM to better engage with the technical community. So for example, in the US, museums are very fortunate to have a Microsoft Museums and Libraries division, which is something that doesn't exist in the UK at all, where there is a group of people that live and breathe museums every day and find funding to fund technology innovation in that particular area. So whether we can go to the likes of Microsoft and Salesforce and Google as a museum community specifically to try and open their wallets a little bit further for the sector, or to get them to help and advise, is something that I'll be taking a look at. But that was a new perspective for me.
Yeah, great. I mean, I guess probably, I think Hilary makes quite a serious point, really, but I think there's certainly been a professionalization, hasn't there, of museums, and I suppose AIM has tried to be in parallel with that, but you know, discuss, I would say. Belinda, what's it told you? What's it told you about the kind of AIM members and the community of?
I guess the diversity of the organisations that were involved. So I hadn't quite appreciated how many small museums there were and all the different things that they explore. So it's been really nice to actually talk to and see the people that run those organisations rather than just being sort of names on bits of paper and things like that. So I've definitely learned something about the diversity of the organisation, but also just how nice and friendly everybody is as well, and how, you know, we can all work together to really promote what we need to promote in the sector as well, in that sense that we all really are here to do the same things as each other, and how we can do it better if we all work together.
And Liz, finally, Liz.
I would say my main kind of takeaway from interacting with so many different people from so many different places and museums and organizations, and also just my experience with AIM in getting a bursary and a grant to actually attend the conference, which I was very grateful for, because I sent quite a couple emails being like, please let me come to the conference, and they did, and it's been so rewarding just to be able to be in this environment, to be able to speak to so many different people. And so first of all, I just wanted to say again, thank you so much to AIM for giving me the grant and the bursary to actually attend, because it's something that it would have been really hard for me to actually attend as a part-time student doing volunteering work as well. It can be a barrier sometimes to be involved in museums and heritage and the arts if you don't really have the resources to do that. I think that's something that you don't realize sometimes when you're first thinking, I'd love to work in a museum. And then when you try and actually join in with things, you start thinking, gosh, how am I going to, I've got to join the museum association. I've got to pay how much money to join it? And I know maybe it's bad to talk about money, but ultimately it really does impact who's being able to access roles within museums. And I think it's something I'm really passionate about. And so having that support from AIM has been really, really good and really helpful. But just generally as well, I think the level of supportiveness and just genuine kind of kindness and willingness to try and help other people, other organizations beyond your own, I think it's been something that's just shone through my conversations with people, through all the really, helpful sessions. They've all been really practical as well. So it's not just offering that kind of, oh yeah, I get where you're coming from sort of support. It's very practical, helpful support. So I think that environment and that community aspect to being at the conference and being able to interact with different organizations has been, really key thing that I've taken away about AIM's members and just, the general community.
Great. Okay. Thank you. Is there anybody from the audience who would like to share their perspectives on any of the 4 questions? So a favorite thing, a different perspective, anything different or new that you've kind of felt about that it's told you about AIM and AIM members? Anybody? Anybody on? Oh, Rhiannon from Beamish. Is that on? Is that on?
Am I on now? Yeah.
Nice and close.
Lots and lots of things, and they were great. It was lovely listening to you, and it's been a brilliant AIM conference as always. I think what I'm really interested in and what I take back with me is and I already know this, but it reminds you, the diversity and the complexity and the big and the small that we have across the AIM membership. And that's really interesting. And I think some of us are bonkers and are crazy in the thoughts that we have around that diversity of museums in the independent sector, but also about bringing in other themes and perspectives. The keynote this morning was amazing. That woman's blown my mind. And I went down straight away and I was like, you're brilliant. And I was thinking about what she'd said and how that's very transferable into everything that we do. She was in orchestra. She has the same kind of challenges, issues that we have, but it's transferable into the world that we work in. And I think it's important that we think about how we ask what is needed of us and that we actively and proactively do that. And that's something which I'll take away from the conference.
Thank you very much. Yes, gentleman here in the middle back there.
I suppose I wanted to share my thought as a person that's never been to an AIM conference before, that and I'll say word for word that people I've spoken to, more senior professionals to me, have all said very similar things, that if you go to an AIM conference, because of everything you are all just saying, especially Liz, it's so practical. It's so, literally everyone before coming here said that. And it's a very simple point, but I can say it met all my expectations from that build up and more. So I suppose I just wanted to make the point that it's true what they say. And this won't be the last time.
Okay. Thank you very much. Matt, was there any comments or questions from online? No? Okay. Great stuff. Anybody else want to share? Yes, Sajita, in the middle here.
Thank you. I just wanted to pass on some conversations and also my own reflections as well. That I've spoken to quite a few first-time attendees and they've loved it, absolutely loved it. And the second part is that everyone feels really safe here. We create an environment, I mean, not me, but the actual AIM team and everyone who helps to come bring this conference together. The fact that people aren't shy and speak their mind, I think it's really, really good that people can just, we heard it before about kind of looking at the timetable of programming and how to kind of, what are the sessions as well. So I think it's just brilliant that we can provide a safe space. And like Andrew said, get the evaluation form, pass on your feedback, because the conference is shaped by our members. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, yes, lady here.
Hi, yeah, this is my second AIM conference and I love it, and it's now a staple in my year, so that's great. I just wanted to pick up on what was said earlier, I think by you, Andrew, talking about funders and reflecting on what museums are, and I think we can get quite insular about what we are, but actually this has made me come across thinking we are businesses, we are healthcare providers, we are soft power, we are all these things other than museums, and I think we can, especially with the current climate and what's going on with the election stuff, I think we can really stand up for ourselves and make a case for us being so much more than just museums. And I think AIM is a really supportive organisation in ensuring people do that. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much. I mean, I think that's absolutely right. I mean, I just on that advocacy thing, I would just have in mind also that, you know, to think about advocacy with an A as a noun, actually, and that actually being an advocate is a skillful thing to be, and you shouldn't underestimate how much skill and thought it takes to be an influential advocate. And I think we should all work on that. Can we thank our panel of Hilary, Rod, Liz, and Belinda? Thank you very much for your perspectives. I'm now just going to hand over to AIM's Deputy Chair, Rhiannon Goddard, for her closing remarks and a little bit of summing up before you're released. Oh, yes, sorry, that would look a bit odd.
Almost there, nearly. What a conference, eh? It was wow. Well, I was kind of reminded of a quote by Audrey Hepburn, actually, that living is like tearing through a museum, and not until later do you really start absorbing what you saw. And I kind of think that really relates to the last 2 days, where I feel like I've been tearing through session after session, lots of input, lots of exciting things, and it's going to take me a while to absorb it all. But I've got a few reflections that probably reflect quite well on what we've already heard. I've seen how museums of all sizes show how sometimes against almost impossible sounding odds have risen to the challenges of the current environment, and they've found both amazing and innovative ways to connect to their communities. I think we're all working so hard to continue that engagement despite the tough times we're facing. And I think the effect of these tough times might have been revealed when a little quick straw poll at only 2:30 on day one revealed that the majority of conference attendants would be opening and drinking a £10,000 bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon rather than saving it for later. So yeah, that had me slightly concerned. But as always, at AIM conference again, I was blown away by the sense of community that this conference creates. It's really something special and unique, and it is an AIM thing, and it always has been. You know, after talking about my own sense of vulnerability as a disabled woman in the workplace, several of you sought me out to check that I was okay. I've never been to a conference where that's happened before. Not only do I feel safe at work, I feel safe with my AIM community, so thank you. And I think this is what makes AIM so special. You know, we as a membership genuinely care about the sector, and we care about each other, and we're able to share in an open and honest way. And I think, I hope that anyone who's a new delegate has felt part of that community as well, and welcome to this AIM fold, and that you'll be back again and again and again and again, like Hilary. For those who came last night, it was really good fun, wasn't it? We shared fish and chips, experiencing for ourselves the kind of love that was expressed in that opening sonnet for the museum in the Black Country by the really committed and engaged and passionate staff. I had a wonderful conversation with someone I think was called Mabel, who was in the hairdressers. I found out all about the patriotic reasoning behind red lipstick and why victory rolls were worn in women's hair, which was something to do with copying the rolls of the Spitfires, doing their loop-de-loops and then sort of doing that in your own hair as your celebration. I never knew that. I thought that was fantastic. And I also had a sing-along with quite a lot of you in
in that record shop as well, which was quite unexpected. I don't normally do karaoke, but for some reason I just felt I had to get really involved. Sorry. I then had a much less successful interaction with the Test Your Strength machine when I nearly tipped over backwards just lifting up that hammer and was then encouraged to do the child's version instead and given a badge for my good effort. I hope you had as much fun as I did, and I think the Merry Rose has quite a high standard to follow. Over the 2 days, I've heard some stories of resilience, of adapting our leadership models to reflect our changing communities and society, and how we're breaking down barriers, inviting communities to partner with us in new ways. I've loved the honesty of everyone's talks. It's great sharing what works and what doesn't. I don't think that that sort of openness is always expressed in talks where quite often people are just talking about how great they are, but here we're honest and open. You know, some of you have even expressed that you've had existential crises when trying to define what interpretation means. And I'm pleased to know that I'm not the only one who has failed to apply logic to online interactions. But more seriously, I've also heard some frustrations about how slow change can be, especially in diversifying our audiences and our staff, and that we have more work to do. And I think that's a challenge that we need to take on, accept, and do more to think about. And perhaps we need to kind of think next year's conference how we can make that happen. I saw the emotional research that AIM and the Arts Council have done put into practice. And I think that top tier of commitment, when people express, pride, hope and fulfillment, is something that I've experienced and witnessed over the last 2 days. And I hope you've experienced these emotions as well. As Joseph said, we all need a community of accountability. And for AIM, that community is you, our members. You are our community of accountability. And as such, as Andrew, as already mentioned, we will be sending you out a feedback form, and we will want to hear the good, the bad and the ugly from what you've experienced over the last 2 days. We also heard a bit of a call to action. So let's make the coming weeks the time to get our message out there, the message that we are full of pride, we are full of hope, and that we can contribute, and museums are worthy partners who can provide radical change in the difficult times to come. There's a lot more I could say, but it's time to go home, I'm afraid. So, and I'm sure you're all looking forward to finishing up and getting back to your families. So I'd like to give just one last thanks to all our sponsors, Bloomberg Connect, Hayes Parsons, Minerva, and of course our host, the Black Country Museum. And I'd like us to give a huge round of applause to the AIM team who have worked tirelessly to put all of this together. That's Lisa, Matt, Margaret, Christine, Tonya, Fiona, Catherine and Helen, and of course to our hosts, the Black Country Living Museum, and to you for making the conference such a special time. Thank you very much. Right. And if I don't see you before, we'll see you at the Merry Rose next year. Thank you.